I have been on social media since I was a young kid with unheavy internet restrictions. That being said, I have seen lots of things and been on social media for quite some time. I'm a young adult at the moment and would like to provide some personal subjective insight on social media and why it is so negatively influential. Disclaimer: I am not shunning anyone for having any type of opinion on specific worldly affairs. Nothing is wrong with having an opinion, and I do not hate or judge anybody for what they believe in. I am also not claiming that any of the stereotypes I discuss in this video apply to each and every person in the categories that I use as examples. I do not aim to offend anyone and only aim to provide my personal insight on the world for my own expressive purposes. Feel free to leave constructive criticism in the comments to help me build my articulation and express my ideas more thoroughly. Thank you. Since I've been on social media for so long, I've been able to witness countless accounts of people being blatantly biased for no logical or rational reason. I used to play a lot of Roblox, which, while technically not a social media platform, still can be applicable to most other real social media platforms, and played PvP games for fun with my friends. I remember realizing at a certain age that most people I end up running into are the same. If you ended up winning by any means, even if it was completely fair and square, you would still be met with the same type of responses as if you cheated. I would simply generalize the people who acted this way into specific categories such as the characters they played, their playstyle, or their level on the games. However, after immensely reflecting on this line of thought, I realized that it was bigotry and didn't really make sense. After all, I fell under a lot of the categories that I claimed were so toxic, rude, or dumb. I realized that regardless of what character the other person played, how they played, or how much experience they had playing the game, that their character was not linked to these attributes at all in the slightest. These things I just mentioned are easily applicable to modern-day social media under the context of things like political alignments, social opinions, gender, and cultural, racial, or sexual orientation. Humans are fundamentally the same for the most part. Of course, every person is different and has their own unique identity, but that doesn't mean that they will always be completely different from someone else. I cannot imagine an individual that is incapable of relating to another person in one way or another. With that being said, we are all humans. No matter your differences from others, we are still all people. Humans are social creatures and we naturally strive for conformity in hopes of being accepted and loved by others, generally. This isn't always a bad thing, but it does end up being bad when people cannot think for themselves due to the massive amount of bias being rubbed onto them. I feel like people should love each other, so it's a shame that people cannot exercise what I consider to be common sense that should be taught to everybody from a young age. People are so quick to aggression overall in general, which is so easy to see on the internet. Everyone has an opinion that will offend someone else, and then someone's response to said opinion will upset someone else, and so on. This domino effect causes major discordance amongst people that is trivial and ridiculous. Keep in mind that this discordance could be over something as simple as an opinion on a TV show or video game. So, imagine how pent up people get over ongoing politics or social issues in the world. People on social media are so focused and obsessed with making sure they know the newest information about the world and things of that nature. Petty slander of social influencers or extremely heated and aggressive arguments over whether someone is in the right or wrong over an issue that is not going to impact their personal lives at all. With that being said, the amount of aggression on social media is toxic and unhealthy to be exposed to at any age. People will retreat to their own gated forum, only accessible to those who completely conform and align with their opinions or ideologies, accepting none other than that. It is almost cult-like, and strips people of the ability to think for themselves. Everyone will simply wait until they see what their community says and unanimously agree without a second thought. This is because, like I said, humans are social creatures that often prefer being accepted and loved by other humans rather than being an authentic reflection of their character and individuality. People are afraid of being judged and slandered by others, so they run to people who will accept them for having their opinion instead of having a genuine best interest for whatever it is that they claim to advocate for. This is a major issue in politics, as most people lack the core fundamentals of introspectiveness which leads to everything crumbling. It feels like people who are so hell-bent over being politically correct are more concerned with being accepted by others than actually doing what is best for their country. People will shun you and immediately categorize you into a negative stereotype if you have an opinion that they disagree with, which does not actually solve any problems nor does it aim to reach a medium for either party. And the thing is that this is applicable to every perspective because there is an insane amount of people like this in every political category that you can think of. For example, people who supported Donald Trump would claim that people who supported Kamala Harris were stupid and vice versa. In a lot of cases, it didn't seem like either of these groups of people aimed for anything they really wanted, but more so just to be in the right. A lot of people on social media will simply pick a side based on what their feed shows them and stays there, disregarding any opinion that does not align with what they have been fed in their mind. People who talk extensively about global affairs under pitiful tones despite their lack of initiative to take action seem like they are only doing these things in order to have people within their community agree with them and praise them for having a thought process they agree with. I personally think that if you cannot notice a difference in your life, then there is no reason to stress out so much about these quote-unquote issues. These posts that extensively describe in detail how horrible the world is at the moment are blatant fear-mongering in order to attract likes, comments, views, and followers. People will do anything in their power to get likes, and the average viewer is going to feel like they need these influencers to stay quote-unquote safe and informed. However, tons of people will over-exaggerate the effects of new laws or bills in order to make them seem a lot scarier than they actually are, and doing just a quick moment of research will reveal this. In addition to this, general human social progression has been so significant in the past 2 decades that there is no reason for being afraid of certain things happening. It would be objectively incorrect to say that racism no longer exists, but it is certainly much less of an issue than it was 20 years ago, for instance. Especially with the uprising Gen Z, people are heavily normalizing and exercising the ability to accept differences within humans. This is a step forward in social progression that will help all forms of bigotry die down rapidly. Obviously, it is definitely possible that these issues will never fully go away, but the fact that they are growing more and more scarce is a huge positive for the world, and people seem to undermine that a lot due to social media. Overall, what I'm attempting to get at is that social media heavily influences negative ways of thinking about the world and the people in it, as well as promotes you to exercise aggressive means of winning arguments without using introspectiveness in hopes of bettering the world. It is okay to have an opinion that another person may not agree with and vice versa, but the way that social media portrays these two sides as opposing forces that are enemies makes it feel like a war that should not be a war. Humans are social creatures, which means we should all be working together regardless of differences to meet each other halfway with the goal of making the world a better place that can make everyone happier. Social media is also infamous for causing people to be insecure about their appearances and lives. Especially prominent in younger audiences, people can tend to seek and find value in the form of likes, views, followers, and comments. Overall viewer interaction makes people feel like they matter, because of a simple click of a button on a glass screen. People comparing their likes to their friends' likes on the same platform can be very detrimental if they have less likes while finding value in their social media status. This can make people think that they are worth less than other people who have higher amounts of likes online, which is not an authentic evaluation of self-worth. Self-worth should be found from loving yourself for who you are genuinely rather than focusing so much on a trivial number found within a technically non-existent digital world. This issue can cause depression, anxiety, and obsession with social media. People may tend to overthink the type of content that they are posting as a result of this sense of inferiority, wondering if the content they are posting is not good enough. This leads to people feeling like the things that they do overall in life are not good enough, and subsequently makes people feel like they themselves are not good enough. All of this comes from a few numbers on a glass screen. It is crazy how such a small thing can control so much of people's lives without them even realizing it. TikTok made the format of short-form content extremely popular within the past 5 or 6 years, which in and of itself is unhealthy. The human brain is not meant to consume as much information as social media makes us on average. People are addicted to the dopamine that things like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube provide us with. These short, 15 to 30-second clips addict people because it makes them feel like they are finishing a piece of content very fast and gaining something out of it. But in reality, this does barely anything helpful to the viewer. For instance, you. Yes, you, the one watching this video right now. If you watch TikToks or Instagram Reels a lot, how many of said videos can you remember watching as of lately? Your answer is most likely an insignificant and unremarkable number, as a result of you not really caring about most of the content you consume on apps like these. These apps have addictive feeds that find out what type of content makes you stay on their app and engage with it more in order to keep you hooked so that they can make more revenue. TikTok is beginning to do this with product advertisements more and more every day, which are also targeted towards personalized audiences. For instance, if you enjoy reading books, you may receive ads on TikTok about a book that you should buy. Consuming all of this information literally slows down your brain and makes it unhealthier, hindering your full potential thinking power. Short-form content is rarely ever educational or meaningful, nor does it do anything positive for the viewer. While it is true that you may find a few funny videos every now and then, is it worth the hours and hours you spend scrolling? Consuming mass amounts of unfiltered junk data that will do nothing for you and not benefit you at all? Issues like these have made me heavily desire to uninstall and remove myself from these social media apps, but I simply cannot. I can put my pride aside and admit that I, too, have fallen to this addictive lifestyle. Scrolling extensively and hoping for more enjoyment that rarely ever comes. There is also the fact that a lot of my friends use these apps, and I would hate to miss out on seeing what they have going on. I feel like if they did not use these apps, then I would not be as hesitant as I am to remove myself from them. I love my friends dearly and am always hoping to connect with them and use social media as an outlet to do so more often than not. To summarize and conclude, social media can encourage social bias as a whole, being hypocritical when it comes to judging stereotypes, overall aggression, comparing yourself to others, finding self-value in likes or followers, and lowering attention spans. These things are immensely harmful to the average human and should be avoided at all costs. It is important to remind ourselves of how to healthily use social media in order to prevent ourselves from falling into a dark pit that will be difficult to crawl out of. Don't forget how important it is to show love to people and make sure that you are always treating others the way that you wish to be treated. It's important to show everyone respect regardless of any type of alignment they have that doesn't match yours. Spread love and not hate. Thank you for taking the time to watch my first video. Feel free to leave any constructive criticism below that will help me improve my content so that I can hopefully continue uploading better videos for you all in the future.